In today's episode, we're going to talk about the topic of ecological integrity or environmental sustainability, if you wish. How could society transition to a sustainable way for humans to live without harming nature? That could be one way to define that as well. Now, if this is the first time you're listening to this podcast, I want to say extra welcome. Our guest today has previously worked with the United Nations around the topic of environmental and education and development of sustainability. And she's been working there for a long time. And today she's currently working as the executive director of an organization called Earth Charter. And when I said she's been working for a long time, I meant she's been working into this field for a long time, the education in sustainability. So I'm very excited to meet you today, Mirian, and welcome to the podcast. How are you? How are your energy level today?
Well, thank you so much for the invitation. I feel very happy to be here with you today, and I feel good. I'm talking with you from Costa Rica, and we feel good today. Thank you.
Would the organization, is that connected to Costa Rica, Earth Charter?
We are working from Costa Rica. We function as a global movement that involves individuals and organizations from around the world, in all regions of the world, actually. That are individuals and organizations that have embraced the Earth Charter and have adopted it and are working with the vision that is articulated in the Earth Charter in their different fields of work and realms. But the global hub, or the coordinating organization, functions from Costa Rica, and that's where we are.
That's the beauty of today. We can be one place, but we can at the same time work all over the world, right?
Yes, correct. So although we are located in Costa Rica as the International Secretariat for the Earth Charter, we basically work with partner organizations and individuals in nearly 89 countries, imagine.
So it's a big movement. 89 countries this organization is located. And if you would explain Earth Charter to someone who's not heard about what it is that you do, how would you explain it?
Yeah. So the Earth Charter is a document, but it's also a global movement, an initiative that functions in a pretty decentralized way. And it's an institution that is based here in Costa Rica that functions as an international education center. As a document, the Earth Charter is the result of a process of consultation. So it was a worldwide consultation process to draft the Earth Charter that took place during the decade of the 90s. And as a result of that dialogue, multicultural, multisectoral dialogue, to identify what are the values and principles that could guide us towards sustainability. So the result of that process is actually the Earth Charter document, which brings together 16 principles. And these 16 principles are actually powering this global movement of individuals and organizations. As a document, it basically articulates a worldview that can guide us towards a more just, sustainable, and peaceful world. It has 16 principles. It's organized in 4 parts that articulates the notion of respect and care for the community of life. Another part is on ecological integrity, social and economic justice, democracy, non-violence, and peace. So that more or less encapsulates what is the worldview that is articulated in the Earth Charter.
Can I ask you there, so as a document, who would use this document and the 16 principles?
Right. So universities, schools, local community groups. So we partner with organizations and from around the world that basically have been using the Earth Charter as a reference, as an ethical reference for decision making, for policy making, and above all, as an educational instrument. So basically, in 2003 and now again in 2019, UNESCO has adopted a resolution that recognizes the importance of the Earth Charter as an ethical framework that articulates the values and principles for sustainability and recognizes it as an important educational instrument. So we have been very focused in articulating partnerships with organizations, schools, and universities that are working in the field of education, be it, again, as a school or university, but also individuals and organizations that are very interested in sort of changing the way in which we are approaching education. Trying to revolutionize education, reorient education so that education really becomes a driver for social change, a sort of education that can really emphasize, or I would say better, a kind of education that could cultivate what's the best in human essence, which is this the values of care and respect, not only among human beings, but with a large community of life, which, by the way, it's something that is at the core of the ethic that is articulated in the Earth Charter, is this whole notion of an ethic of care and respect, not only among human beings, but also to the community of life, which means that the movement and the document is really an invitation for us to expand our notion or expand our consciousness with regards to how we relate to the large living world. Not only so that we can have a better ways to relate among human beings, but also between human beings and the community of life, so nature in its main forms.
And if you would, so for example, if a university would use Earth Charter as an ethical reference to decision making or to education, could you give us an example of what could be an ethical reference in this?
Yes. So, for instance, there is a specific examples of actually many or most universities in Mexico. Have adopted the Earth Charter and are using it as an educational instrument. In Florida, there is a university called the Florida Gulf Coast University, and Methodist University in São Paulo, Brazil, have all been working with the Earth Charter. And they incorporate it as part of their work in different ways. So for instance, in the university in Florida has developed a colloquium for all freshman students to learn about sustainability and earth ethics as it's articulated in the Earth Charter. So they basically use it as an instrument to generate dialogue and students' understanding on this vision that is articulated in the Earth Charter, which is really a vision of Earth community and our responsibility or sense of care with that goes beyond our national borders and political borders.
Could you say then that thanks to Earth Charter and the work that has been done, students now are learning about sustainability? So the idea that this exists, this framework, it gives teachers almost like a
map.
A map to bring into their classrooms. Is that what you're saying? And then to have discussions.
Yes, yeah. So the whole idea of sustainability can be understood in different ways. It could be someone could put more emphasis on the sustainability of economics or the environment sustainability. So there are many discussions about what does it really mean and how can we envision this to really be realized or put into practice. So the Earth Charter offers a sort of ethical compass. So if we think about what's the role of a compass gives us direction of where we are, where we should be heading, where we should go if we are, or if we aspire to reach a more just and sustainable world. So their shadow functions as this sort of ethical compass. So for a teacher of a primary school or secondary school or higher education, or many other projects that are currently going on in non-formal education, could make good use of the Earth Charter as an educational instrument, yes, to clarify, examine our values, clarify what are the current values that are predominant in an unsustainable society, that are very much focused on materialism or values of consumption versus the values of sustainability that are articulated in the Earth Charter.
So if Earth Shatter would not exist, then we would have just people would just keep on living in a sense. We would do business as usual, where consumption and economical interest would be on top of the agenda. So this would level out that agenda and then also like protecting the environment.
Yeah, I think without the Earth Charter, we'll have a vacuum, a gap of an ethical foundation or an ethical guide. So if it didn't exist, it's as if you're walking and you don't have a clear vision of how to reach to a more just and sustainable world. So I guess the main purpose here of the movement is really to help us deepen and expand our consciousness and to put that into action. So actually our purpose and or slogan is really turning the Earth Charter is helping to turn conscious into action for thriving Earth. I guess as humans, if we take away our glasses of where we come from and our cultures and political borders, I think we'll all agree we need to address issues of social injustices and economic injustice. We would all agree that we need to live in a democracy in peaceful world or in a non-violent societies. And we would all agree on the importance to respect and care for others. So the Earth Charter basically helps us to put these lenses and glasses and see through how can we direct our actions and decisions so that we can contribute to social transformation for this thriving Earth that we all, I would say, aspire to live. I don't think any human being feels happy with the current challenges that we live in all societies of patterns of destruction, environment destruction, social inequalities, and etc. But there is an important process that we need to address in terms of sensitizing human beings and raising awareness about the capacity that we all have to contribute to social transformation.
Could you tell us a little bit about the vision for the future now, and if people would like to engage, to support in any way? Is that even possible, since this is quite a you said it's a global movement? Would that be a part where people could start to engage? So could you elaborate a little bit on the future here?
Sure, thank you. Well, it has a lot to do with what we are doing. We are very focusing a program to empower, engage, and educate young people. So basically young leaders from 18 to 30 years old. And we have been doing that actually since 2002, more or less, for a long time. We have been doing that just in different ways. And we have been doing that through trainings and online courses for young people in the English and Spanish speaking world. So we offer these programs in English and Spanish. And basically, it's about leadership, sustainability, and ethics. So we want to enhance young people's capacity to be ethical leaders that are committed and willing to contribute to sustainability and social transformation through the lenses of the Earth Charter. So that's a key project that we have been working on for some years, and we basically plan and hope we'll be able to expand that in offering this sort of training and also online programs in different languages, but basically to more young people, because we believe that by enhancing young people's capacity and empowering them to become ethical leaders in a way that they will be really aware and coherent, live a more ethical and integral life, and then bring it to their lives as decision makers. So that's an important part of our work. And also we have been working on education. So we have an education center here in Costa Rica that actually hosts a UNESCO chair on education for sustainable development with the Earth Charter, which has a very specific focus on the intersection between sustainability, values, and education. This particularly means that we have been looking at ways to reorient education or transform education so that it can really incorporate values and principles of sustainability as articulated in the Earth Charter, in our ethical compass, into education in such a way that is transformative, so that we can provide more transformative learning. So in order to do that, we have been developing educational materials, teacher guides, and offering workshops and courses, also in English and in Spanish, here in Costa Rica, but also online. So we wish and we plan to be able to expand the current work that we are doing.
So people could, if they want to become a leader in power, that could be one way. You could educate yourself in education, in ethical leadership, sustainable leadership. That could be one way for people to support. And also, if you would have knowledge in those areas, you could also, become an educator. Is that what you're saying? That it's
Yes. Basically, we want to spread the vision that is articulated in the Earth Charter, in this ethical compass, through young people, but also through educators that are that have gone through a sort of course with us or training with us. We have been doing that for some years now, and we have sort of Earth Charter young leaders in all regions of the world that are doing their own projects. And we also have educators that have gone through training with us and that have found ways to incorporate the Earth Charter as an instrument in their teaching. Again, in such a way that the work they do will have a special focus or emphasis in cultivating human values of care and respect and responsibility with the well-being of people and also of the planet, which is more or less what's articulated in the Earth Charter.
Miriam, we're getting close to the end here, and I would like to hear, because you've been into the field for so long, is there anything you would want people to understand about sustainability or about integrity? It would be interesting to hear. Is there anything that you think the world will benefit if more people understood?
Yeah, I think there is misconceptions first with the term sustainability in a way that people perceive it as a purely environmental protection concept. And it's important through these processes that we're working on to help people understand that sustainability is really, it's a way of thinking. It's a mindset.